What is up, YouTube? True Rounder back the day after I recorded my last series. And I played several tournaments on the site yesterday, and I cashed in every one of them. So I decided to play in a multi-table tournament today and record it for you guys. As you can see, it's a $1,000 guaranteed, $10 entry. We just had the table pop up. There we go. Good timing. So as you can see, there's only like 30 people in the tournament. $1,000 guaranteed. So I decided to record it for you guys. And of course the problem is that my food took longer to fix than I thought it was going to. So I'm actually just going to end up sitting here and eating for a while. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause and I'll come back when I'm done eating. After this hand. We'll show this hand. Like I said in my video yesterday, I mean, this is a pretty easy raise if it's folded to me in a multi-table tournament, especially when I have 5,000 chips and the blinds are 10-20. And I gotta fold. Okay, I'm gonna pause and eat, and I'll be back as soon as I'm done eating. Alright, I jumped back in here real quick because I had a hand. I'm not quite done eating yet, but I had a hand, so I jumped back in here to record it. Standard raise here, middle position, nothing to do. Flop, great. Checks to me. I'm going to bet a decent amount that gives him incorrect odds to draw to nothing but a flush draw. And I'll bet here, and he'll bet behind, he'll instantly hit the diamond. He instantly checks, which makes me think that I don't really care about the flush draw anymore. I'm just going to bet standard 200, and he calls. Checks. I'm just going to check behind here, and hopefully I don't lose to a random diamond or a random queen. That would be unfortunate. Looks like he just had a 9. Okay, so there it is. I don't see any point in betting there. Betting on that river, you might get some value from a 9, but I don't even see a 9 calling there. I don't see any reason to. You also give much weaker hands, like maybe like second pair on the flop with nothing. You also give them a chance to just put a big raise in and just bluff you out of a pot that you just would have won for checking down. So I think checking on the river there is just fine without a diamond. Yes, I lose to some random diamonds that I might not lose to, but if you have just a random diamond there, you're probably calling a small-ish bet on the river anyway, just to make sure. So I just thought that hand was interesting, and I'm going to pause it again, finish eating, and I should be right back. And we're back! Just in time to play a small blind hand, where I flop bottom pair on a draw-heavy board, where I have no intention of even really calling one bet, to be honest. Well, but when I pick up the flush draw, I'm just going to go ahead and fire out. No one's shown any interest. I've got a pair, and I've got a flush draw. So I expect to get called by all pairs here, and now this guy check raises on the turn, which means he might have flopped a straight. So, considering my pot odds to the flush, it's also possible he could have a better flush draw. But if he has a better flush draw, he probably doesn't have a pair. So this is a pretty easy call. It looks like we're going to lose this pot. Although he could have had, like I said, he could have had a better flush draw, and he just decided he would raise on the river for some reason. If he had like top pair, then why did he check the turn? No, I'm not going to call here. It's a pretty interesting hand. He either flopped the joint with like queen 9. Assuming he's a decent player. Which is a pretty big assumption. But, I mean, if he's a decent player, I could see check raising that turn if he flopped the joint. If he had like ace-queen. That means he also limped in with ace-queen, so that also kind of eliminates him from being a decent player. But yeah, that hand really doesn't make all that much sense now that I think about it. The more I think about it, the more I think he just had something like ace-9 of diamonds, where he just had like a gut shot, straight draw, and then hit like a nut flush draw on the river on the turn and decided to raise when he was trying to get a free card by checking. Yeah, I would say more than likely, yeah, something like ace-9 suited, where he had a gut shot draw, and then he checked on the turn, and he had like a big flush draw then, and then he was pissed off that I bet on the turn and he didn't get a free card, so he decided that he was going to check raise then. Because none of the real hands make any sense. Because if you flop the joint there, and then the flush draw hits on the turn, you don't want to check again and give somebody a free card. I mean, you should be betting out if you flop the joint and no one bets on the flop. I mean, going for a check raise there with a really good hand is kind of silly, actually. I don't know. Maybe I should have called. Bottom pair on the flop might have been good. I mean, I'm not really worried about a king. I don't think a king makes any sense. If you had a king, you need to bet on the flop, and then you need to bet on the turn. Doesn't matter how many draws you are, how many draws you have. I mean, even if you have, like, king-queen, and you have, like, an open and straight draw, you gotta bet there. Can't let random hands like mine, where I have bottom pair and a backdoor flush, just, like, pick up, you know, trips on the turn, or pick up a flush draw where I can draw, you know, to a hand that's better. So, yeah, hit. The more I think about it, the more I think that hand doesn't make any sense. Then again, having said all of that, it is entirely possible that that guy just has no idea how to play poker, and he just played it really oddly. See, I mean, checks on the flop here. Okay, so, alright. Apparently I was confused about the betting. Apparently I'm confused about the betting. Apparently I was in the small blind. Okay, so I fired at it. I fired at the turn. I fired at the turn when nobody bet the flop, and then he raised. Which actually makes me think that he might have something like queen. None of the hands that I'm thinking that he can raise with on the turn should have checked the flop, though, when it went check, check. I can't think of any. Because if he had something on the flop and it goes check, check to you, you should be betting to protect your hand against exactly the kind of thing that I have. Bottom pair, where I could pick up like a backdoor flush draw, or I could pick up trips on the turn, or I could pick up something. So that's why you need to bet on the flop if you have that kind of hand. But like I said, let's go ahead and close the lobby. Didn't even know the lobby was open. But like I was saying, if he's not a good player, then all of my analysis doesn't even matter. So I would say at least a 50% chance that he just really doesn't know what he's doing. And the other 50% is he just had a hand and played it really weird. Yeah, 180. Yeah, I'm not so sure I shouldn't have just called on the river to see what he was doing. Because the only hand that makes any sense with the line that he played exactly, the only hand that makes any sense at all, to me anyway, is something like ace-9 of diamonds. Ace-9 of diamonds. Something like that. Where he doesn't really he doesn't have anything on the flop. Where he doesn't have anything on the flop, so he just checks behind. He doesn't even care. He has like a gut shot and an overcard on a dangerous board. But on the turn, he picks up, you know, he has a gut shot and an overcard. Now he has the nut flush draw and he can raise. And that makes sense. But I don't know. When the king pairs on the turn and I check, I don't know. I'm not so sure he wouldn't try to just check that down with ace high, thinking he might still have he might have the best hand. So I don't know. Like I said, if he has any kind of pair or like pin queen or something where he has a pair and a draw, he really should have bet the flop almost no